welcome to the show none other than Miss LaShawn McCrary.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here. I really appreciate the opportunity for me to be a part of your show.
Oh, man, LaShawn, thanks so much for stopping by today, and I know it's already been a busy day for you. How was your show today?
My show was just great. I had a guest on today who talked to us about self-love, and it was absolutely wonderful.
Well, perfect. Well, we were happy to have you here all to ourselves, and I want to jump in since we just kind of talked about your show right here again on Blog Talk Radio. How was your show created?
You know, interesting thing, a friend of mine had suggested that I start a show, which I did start it about 2 years ago, and I started off by listening to some other shows that were on Blog Talk Radio, and, you know, my first line of thinking was, that doesn't sound too complicated. You know, I'm pretty sure that I could do that. And I'm standing in the kitchen area of where I was living at the time in Maryland, and I remember thinking, okay, Lord, if I was to do this, if I was to start this show, what would I call it? And just like that, boom, my response was intentional life. And I fell in love with it instantly. And my decision to live an intentional life, and to later on when I learned about becoming whole and complete, that just really set the platform for everything that I'm doing. So it was really something that, you know, I never really wanted to have my own radio show or anything like that, but I realized how important it was to have a voice and to share my voice as well as the voice of other speakers and authors and coaches, and to help boost their platforms as well. And that's pretty much how Intentional Life was born.
And who would you say is your audience typically? I'm sure it varies, but who?
My audience, I would say, are people who are looking to become whole. They know that there is something somewhere in their life that's missing, so that age range would really vary, but it's people who are really seeking. If you are not seeking to do and be more in your life, then Intentional Life is definitely not for you. I make sure that I have guests on that are always sharing, you know, their different tragedies and things that have happened in their life in the past, and then bringing you to where they are now so that you can see anybody can make that transition if they choose to.
Well, listen, I'm so looking forward to and honored to be hanging out with you next week, so I am looking forward to that with urgency.
I am looking forward to it as well. So everyone who is listening now, make sure that you tell all your family and friends that Clark is going to be on Intentional Life next Sunday at 8 a.m., and it's going to be a great show. I can't wait.
Well, I certainly have some tragedy to share with them, so we got that. We got that. And just if you're tuning in, obviously you're listening to the conversation, and we're on with Coach LaShawn McCrary. And if you have any questions for Coach, give us a call at 917-932-1078. Be sure to hit the number 1 so we can get you online. There's so much you bring to the table, and I mean, I've gone over your bio several times. We've talked in the past, and I don't even know where to start. But you teach a lot about becoming whole, and I know you're also a trainer. My question is, do you feel a person's physical healthiness plays a vital part in that completion?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, there are so many people who have this philosophy in their head that people are overweight because they just eat too much. But what they don't realize is that for many people, all that is an outward manifestation of something that is wrong on the inside. And because they haven't dealt with the issues that are going on internally, they can't take care of the external part of them. So that's their room. When people talk about food being this comfort food, and whether it be ice cream, potato chips, soda, whatever their comfort is, and for some people it's not just food. For other people it's alcohol. For other people it's drugs. So everybody has this different way of remedying, this temporary remedy that they see in their mind because they haven't dealt with something internal. And when people begin to realize that, then they can begin to deal with those issues. So that's why there are so many people who they say, I've tried every diet in the world, which diets also don't work, so I'm going to say that as well. But they tried all these different diets, they've tried even maybe going to a gym, and they'll do a little bit, and then they back off. And even with a personal friend of mine, and I had put her on, I was doing like some virtual training for her, and I, helped her out with a meal plan and an exercise regimen, and I got all these things together for her. And as she began to deal with the outside, there were some things on the inside, some issues that she realized that she had never dealt with. And that was when, I really began to dig real deep into this and learn more and come to this fuller understanding that, yes, it's tied to something. Some people's eating habits, or again, whatever, because it can be, manifest itself in alcohol or in drugs. But for right now, we're just going to talk about the food part of it. What happened is some people began doing that years ago because they were molested as a child, or maybe they were verbally abused or physically abused, and they didn't realize that they started eating to kind of hide or mask that. And so it just something that just began to just build up over the years, and here they are many years later, and they don't even really realize why they've been eating, why they've been picking up these certain behaviors, and why it's so difficult for them to let them go.